Welcome to the Geekcentric podcast, and welcome to our spoiler-free review for Season 2 of The Bear. Remember to breathe, because the sky is not falling, and there is no other shoe. This is the Geekcentric podcast, and I want to thank you for joining us for this evening's service. My name is Kev, and I will be your head chef. We're excited to be discussing Season 2 of FX's The Bear. We've got an 86 on spoilers for the show because we want all of the fun and delightful little surprises strewn throughout the season to be just that, surprises. We'd like to give a huge thanks to our friends at Disney Studios Canada for giving us the friends and family treatment and letting us check out the series before it hits the rail and is ready to be fired on July 19th. But first, if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geekcentric, a podcast focusing on the world of movies, TV shows, games, toys, and collectibles, and all things geek-centric. Now, before this episode dies on the pass and needs to be refired, I think it's time to introduce the talented team that will be joining me on the line. While I might be the chef de cuisine, we are joined by the executive chef of Geekcentric. He oversees everything going on in the front and back of house, making sure things run smoothly. It's J-Law.
Yo, that's my Richie.
Oh, not bad. I guess we're muffling the swearing. There'd be a few F-bombs
exactly.
just wonderfully
The fuck's
thrown.
going on?
There we
here?
go. That's the Richie we all know and love. Next up, of course, is our chef de partie. While she definitely has a specialty and absolutely rocks it at her specific station, animation, she's adaptable and able to help out anywhere in the kitchen, which is why she's here today. It's Megan.
Hello, I'm stoked to be here. Also, well done on all of these descriptions. You're doing, referencing the kitchen. Amazing.
To be fair, I lived and breathed in the kitchen for many years, and so this show has a very special connection to me, so I was eating up all the little details that the show has to offer, which I'm sure we'll get to talk about a little bit more as we go on. But I would be remiss if I didn't introduce our sous chef. He's the face of Geekcentric and the support system for the show, dabbling in a bit of everything to ensure everyone is happy and enjoying themselves. It's Nate.
Yes, chef.
There we
Corner.
go. I was going to say, how are we today, chefs?
Yes, chef.
Yes,
Yes,
chef.
There we go. Okay. Well,
We
orders
might
are
get kicked out.
Oh, well, I might have to do a little yelling to keep you guys in line throughout the show, and forgive me in advance for that. But orders are pouring in, and we should start this service up soon. But a special chit has popped up, and before I get to the synopsis, I wanted to pause and remind you, listening, that we here at Geekcentric support the Writers Guild of America, as well as the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists as they strike to get the contracts they deserve. Without incredible writers and actors, we wouldn't get all the amazing stories that offer escape into the fantastic or which mirror our own reality, allowing us to look inward and reflect on how we can collectively do better. And that's what the WGA and SAG-AFTRA are looking for, studios to do better by them so that they can keep making these stories while supporting their families. So we just wanted to say, if you want to support the writers and actors of the things that we all love, you can do so by checking out the links in our show notes. Now, the expo is screaming that they need service to begin, so let's slice right into the synopsis. FX's critically acclaimed original series, The Bear, is about food, family, the insanity of the grind, the beauty of the sense of urgency, and the steep, slippery downsides. As young Chef Carmi and crew work to transform their grimy sandwich shop into a next-level spot, they undertake transformational journeys of their own, each forced to confront the past and reckon with who they want to be in the future. Season 2 is directed by Christopher Storer, Joanna Callow, and Rami Youssef, and features Ayo Adebiri, Ebon Moss-Backrack, Abby Elliott, Maddie Matheson, Liza Colon-Zayas, Edwin Lee Gibson, and Molly Gordon, and stars Golden Globe winner Jeremy Allen White as Carmen Barzetto. And once again, while the show has already aired in the States, it makes its Canadian premiere on Disney Plus on July 19th. But we can't let our thoughts sit under the heat lamp any longer, or they might just dry out. Are we ready to get into it, chefs?
Yes,
Yes,
chef.
Yes, chef.
Good, all right. Just don't say anything about Jewish lightning. Meg, why don't you start us off? What was something that really stood out for you in this season?
Oh my God. Help me pick. There's so many incredible moments from each character, from each scenario, each storyline. It's one of the craziest and coolest shows I've ever watched. But I will say, I think a favorite episode, which we obviously won't get into, would have to be episode 4 for me.
Mhm.
And I will also say episode 6.
It's crazy. Yeah. It's an
Silence.
insane episode. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to kind of jump in there is I think all but maybe one and maybe even 1.5 episodes have such a different tone this season as opposed to the first season. And I think it's so incredibly rewarding to watch this show's tone shift alongside its characters. And all these characters are in such a better place in this season too. And it's so heartwarming to see them and see where they sort of have adapted and grown and learned from their experiences in the previous season. And usually I would be a little upset to sort of not get to see sort of the transition moments that obviously must have taken place between season 1 and 2. But with how much they sort of give us with just showing each of these characters and sort of, sometimes they do fall back a little bit. I think it's still so rewarding. Such a good job from this writing team.
Well, yeah, they're not perfect. They're imperfect. If
They're
anything.
human.
Yeah, they're human. And that's the brilliance of this show is its dedication to developing these characters and developing characters that we grew fond of and didn't see enough of in season 1 by exploring their backgrounds and intertwining their journeys through episode to episode with the central narrative. The show manages to create a very compelling multi-dimensional tonal arc that leaves a lasting impact for each character. There's a great moment in one of these episodes where they're all together and we see inside of their journey all simultaneously, and it shows a sense of appreciation for what brought them to that moment. And I think that that's what this show and this season does really, really well, is it highlights these characters and the collective, because like you said before, Kevin, family is so key. And I think that family looks different. We talk about family a lot, and we see family in this in some instances, and we see the restaurant family. And I think that's very much the juxtaposition of what we see captured through these characters, is that they're kind of like a found family that believe in this restaurant. And I think that that's so beautiful. And I think that, again, it's a testament to the show, the writing and the acting. It's compelling, well-balanced, brilliantly acted and well-written material. It's great stuff.
Well, and you mentioned family, and I mean, there is an episode here that if you ever thought that your family was crazy, man, you have no idea. It's an hour long. The episode was so tense I had to watch a palate cleanser before going to bed because my heart was palpitating.
Yeah.
It was so intense.
I had problems. I had problems sleeping after, but it's almost a great follow up to episode 7 of last season. The sort of frantic, chaotic. So I think there's not a spoiler to say that you're going to get something like that because it's already embedded in the show. And I think the way it's used is, as you said, Kevin, to tell the story of family, really does, again, juxtapose the restaurant family, right? It's also very dysfunctional, and then you see this, and it's also very dysfunctional. So I think that there was a ballet, if you will, to why they did it. But with that episode, we're not going to get into like the who we see, but the cameos in this show are outstanding. So total surprise, like someone just turns the corner of a room and suddenly you're presented with a fantastic actor, right? And I'm just like, that surprise and delight is so great.
Well, and that's one thing I did want to touch upon, and again, be prepared if you're listening to this for episode 6. Have a come down. Like, I rarely find myself needing to come down from an experience in watching something, and this was a moment where I was like, I just need to put on some cartoons or something. I need to get back. But I will say, as much as you'll prepare yourself, to your point, Justin, seeing the people that we see who portray these I guess these guests or cameo characters in this episode for a split second would take me out of it, but because they're surgically like putting on a clinic of acting performance, like just such incredible performances and so fluid, and the way that they treat this dialogue, it brought me back in an instant. And I think that's such a testament to just how incredible the guest cast is and the main cast is in this show.
And honestly, just to add to what you just said, I mean, that episode stressed us all out, obviously. And I always need a palate cleanse when it comes to intense episodes. I definitely have a lower threshold than you guys do.
Yeah.
But I normally would have paused that and like taken a break in the middle of it. But because, Nate, like you said, these performances are so unbelievable, I kept watching. And yes, some certain guest actors that come into this show could easily take you out because they're possibly such giant names.
Yeah, iconic. Yeah.
But the story and the way they're portraying these characters, like, I felt like I got so lost that I was a fly on the wall in someone's real life.
Yep.
Not watching a TV show.
Yeah.
It hooked me. I couldn't stop
You
watching.
felt like you were sitting at the table watching this
Yes.
unfold around
Yeah,
you.
for sure.
It surrounds
And
and
you wanted-
consumes you.
And you wanted to leave. In all honesty,
100%.
I was like,
you can't.
I want to get the hell out of this.
Justin,
situation.
you would be there for like maybe 4 minutes, and then you would have dipped.
I would have
sure.
dipped. Yeah, Kevin
Yeah.
knows that. I'd have been like, okay, guys, see you later, peace.
enough.
Yeah. So, like, again, episode 6, it's a great episode. Prepare yourselves. But I think, again, I just to maybe tap into something else that worked. I think it's a huge achievement that this series has, masterfully paced this story of characters with a larger story. The larger story, obviously, if you've seen season 1, it's about opening this new restaurant, and I think that is so well handled throughout these 10 episodes that makes it enjoyable. And I think it's crafted in a very ingenious way that seamlessly keeps viewers engaged, not with just the bigger story, but with the smaller stories that really matter, that make the bigger story more important. And the overall season maintains a perfect balance between suspense at times and some sense of resolution for some characters, never leaving us feeling completely underwhelmed, right? We're always overwhelmed, I think. I think in a lot of cases, you're very much overwhelmed.
Absolutely. And like you said, there are certain episodes that are perfect at slowing things down and focusing on, in 2 particular instances, one character for the majority of the episode. And what I think this show does so well, beyond the details of actually working in a kitchen, is how they've crafted and structured the cast of characters that you would find in a kitchen. That, to me, is almost the most realistic aspect of it, because people in a kitchen come from so many different walks of life, and a lot of them actually do come from troubled, difficult backgrounds, and it is the structure and the commitment required to work in a kitchen that really helps ground people and find themselves and work on themselves and improve themselves. And so we get to see so much of that impact and that effect throughout the season. And then those 2 specific episodes where we're sort of focusing on one person learning how the industry works in a way they've never seen before and how they could make a difference themselves by truly fully committing to the industry is amazing. Because it is honestly such a hard, underappreciated, underpaid job, kind of like the writers and a lot of the people we're talking about in Hollywood right now. And so to be able to find that commitment and that dedication to get up at 5 a.m. and do grueling work every single day for bad pay and not a lot of love, it's really difficult and stressful. And so to find the beauty that does keep people engaged and coming back to work in the field, I thought was so awesome and was definitely one of my favorite parts of the season.
Well, and I think there's speaking to that sort of beauty, there's this season does, yes, have a tonal shift of sort of feeling happier, but there were many times where I was feeling an overwhelming sense of happiness for a character and then sadness either immediately after or even at the same time, because of what I recognized was sort of happening in front of me, or what the character didn't recognize was happening behind them or underneath them. And it's just, I think it's one of those things where this season, I couldn't understand how they could do better than the first season, and I really think they did. They elevated it for me. And I will say just one more thing regarding the genre of this, because it is comedy drama. Which was season one as dramedy, sure, which was season one. I will say this season is 10 times funnier than season one. Fak is fucking hilarious. Him and I don't know if it's his brother or his cousin or whoever.
The other
they're pulling tricks.
The other Fak guy, yeah.
It's just they're so incredible and so funny. And I think between him and I think Richie for me this season, I got so many wonderful laughs of just like I love Richie. Richie I think might be my favorite character. I don't know.
Well, and I also think, to bring it back to that quote you used at the beginning, Kev, I found myself waiting for that other shoe. Every time something great happened to a character, I full on went back before I had ever seen Ted Lasso and just assumed the worst. Something bad is gonna happen, and I was tense the whole time, but like it never did. But it also did. Like, you know it's coming, and it's created such an intense and real feeling, and you could relate to these characters and these stories no matter what walk of life you come from.
Yeah, which is why, like, I think there's happy moments for characters, as Nate was mentioning, but I don't think this series is overly happy. I think it's very real and very to the point, but you get some great moments for characters where you're just like, fuck yeah, I'm happy for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is really great, and I think that is, again, a testament to just the writing and the acting and the way these actors wholeheartedly become these characters. And to your point, Nate, Richie is a standout, but I think Marcus is also absolutely fantastic, and Sid, Tina was great. But again, what was nice is that there's such a balance where some of these characters got more of that push forward, while some of them got small developments. I'm excited to see what season 3 will bring for them in a new story and how they want to move things forward. I think that's great for some of these characters. I'm still invested. They haven't resolved everything, right?
I will say, just really quickly, I think episode 4, Megan, you mentioned, might have been your favorite. I'm between episode 4 and episode 7 personally, but I think episode 4, directed by Rami Youssef, it's the only one that he did direct, and you know he I think it's the first time that a director outside of Chris Storer or showrunner Joanna Callow have worked on The Bear, but apparently Storer had been he had been a director and executive producer on Rami Youssef's series Rami, which I love. Rami, like I had no idea that they were chatting with each other, and so apparently while on that production he was bouncing back stories about the bear, like they were kind of going back and forth while it was still a movie idea apparently at one point. But I just episode 4 just felt like a Rami episode but with a specific character, and it
so makes sense though now that they would want to bring in other directors. Especially season 1 felt very intimate and personal to the writer and creator Chris Storer, and I think that the way it's executed also has a very intimate, personal feel to it. And just continuing in an aesthetic standpoint for The Bear, season 2 feels as intimate as it was last season, but also a little surreal at times. Some of these cityscape shots, you can see them in some of the trailers, the sort of macro focus, the spins, all these sort of things. It adds to that chaotic tone. It adds to that sort of like overwhelming sense, and that sort of macro focus on what your goal is, if you will.
Well, I was going to say those visuals in between actual scenes were so well done. And then coupled with the soundtrack of this season, the music was carefully chosen to reflect whatever was going on with whatever character or restaurant moment that we were getting at the time. And it never like overwhelmed or took over, but it was very much a character along with the things that were happening at the time. And I just thought at the end of the season, I went, wow, they pulled out some amazing, perfectly selected tunes to reflect whatever was going on at any given time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the soundtrack is, again, it kind of matches the overall sort of happy tone, and I think it is kind of, in some instances, you're right, Justin, that at times it can sort of almost give this, and similar to what you were saying, Megan, like, when's the other shoe going to drop? Because this track is getting me so, like, happy-go-lucky feeling, like walking down the street like Paul Rudd and Ant-Man, but then, what's going to happen now? It can't be that good.
I'm wanting to know what song is so happy-go-lucky, because there are like a couple, I guess, like more.
Yeah,
when
that's
true. When that hits, like I'm saying, like I feel like the music almost again does a ballet with the tone of the episodes as it matches, right? Like again, the Marcus-centric episode has a lot more like jazzy funk, and it's also very European infused. But like I think that all just fits well for that tone of that episode. Whereas like anytime with Carmine, he's kind of the one that shows so much of this duality of, I guess, serene, but then also having chaos. The music very much matches that in a lot of ways.
And just one more shout out to the music. Just fist pump, hell yeah, to a Taylor Swift song. And that's all I'm going to say, because I was just so
See, there's a happy
so
moment.
pumped in that
Yeah,
moment.
That is, no, but that's what I mean. That's
exactly.
And that is a happy moment for the character. But I don't know. I wouldn't say this season's happy. Would you say that?
I think it's happier than the previous season.
Absolutely. I think it gives more resolution to characters and some optimism for
good
them.
way, Justin.
In a great way, yes, of course it does. But I think it's like, getting there was a trek. Do you know what I mean? Like getting there was a trek.
I think in season 1 we saw them coming out of this like dirt hole they had all been in life, and that was really tough to watch. But in season 2, the happier notes, I think, Nate, that you're talking about is that they're out of the shit now, and they're on to better things. They're evolving. They're learning who they are, and that's very exciting to see.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah.
I think so good really does sum it up. So very much of this works for us. Did anybody have a small nitpick, something that didn't quite work? I mean, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be that guy right now, and I can't say too much because it gives it away. But there's a scene involving a fridge door that closes, and I will just say that there are always emergency latches on the inside of walk-in fridges in kitchens, and so the realist in me going, that could never happen. But the purpose of it and what it serves to do for the plot, I was able to overlook it. So honestly, even the smallest negative that I can find, I can go, you know what? I'll forgive them for that one because they needed it for a grander purpose.
Kevin, just ask if any of us have any issues with the show. Again, just one more time.
Do we have any issues with the show, perhaps?
No, chef.
Okay.
No, chef.
That's okay, guys. We haven't opened yet. That's just why we do the rehearsal, so that we're good to go on opening night. Well, I think now would be a great time to give our opinions a la minute. Let's share our final thoughts and grade season 2 of The Bear on a scale of 1 to 5 Michelin stars. I know there's only technically 3 that you can earn, but this is my kitchen, so I make the rules. Meg, why don't you start us off with your thoughts and your rating of season 2 of The Bear?
Absolutely. I literally crossed out show in this first sentence. I wrote, what a masterpiece. Each episode holds its own, yet it flows really like asymmetrically but beautifully into each next part of the story. Like we were saying, some of the episodes are centered towards one specific character, but all of them still further the story along, and nothing is like misplaced or disjointed in a way that doesn't make sense, which is unbelievable. Watching these characters evolve throughout the process is so raw and real, and you find yourself relating to people you never thought you would, because they're going through something that you've gone through in a different way, but you can still relate to that story. Like I said before, the performances are out of this universe. I found myself so lost in the story that I felt like a fly on the wall in someone's real life. That was pretty crazy to be that lost in a TV show. It's an absolute work of art. I bow down to every single writer, actor, crew member, human being who worked on this show. We've already said it, but a little trigger warning for episode 6.
Yep.
And all of them a little bit. They get really intense, but it's out of artistic need. It's a beautiful, beautiful show. 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 100% on Megan's potatoes. I'm giving this
Megan's potatoes.
5.
I love it.
There are no rotten tomatoes in my
Okay,
kitchen.
I love
They're
it.
all potatoes.
I love it.
5 Michelin stars for this show.
Awesome.
It's crazy.
Justin, how about
That's
yourself?
great. Yeah, the Bear season 2 is an absolute triumph. It exemplifies great television at its finest, and it's as a follow up to season 1. It's absolutely outstanding. It manages to soar even higher, delivering a truly monumental success that will leave everyone who watches this entirely captivated and very satisfied, in my opinion. I think the themes of legacy, family, and purpose are masterfully woven throughout the season, touching the audience's hearts and on multiple levels. The characters' personal struggles and triumphs are poignantly portrayed, while the significance of food and the restaurant become a powerful metaphor for their lives. I think the clever connection between the culinary world elevates the story and makes the show feel incredibly authentic and overly relatable. This season is a brilliant continuation of an already exceptional series with impeccable pacing, character-driven storytelling, and just a beautiful exploration of themes that I think everyone can relate to. Fantastic television. This is such well-performed, well-written, and yeah, it left a special place in my heart. So yeah, I'm giving this one 5 out of 5 Michelin stars as well.
Awesome.
5 out of 5 Megan potatoes.
Yeah.
The reviews are raving so far. Nate, are we continuing the trend here?
Pass the bottle of Pepto-Bismol, Kevin, because
I'm always packing a bottle of Pepto.
just guzzling it. Yeah, I mean, you guys said it all, but like surgically perfect performances. An incredible amount of character growth from season 1, and an even better balance of comedy, heart, and drama. I loved season 1, but I'm shocked by how much more I enjoyed season 2. Like season 1, I was like, how can they do better TV than this? And then they did. With every episode and the broad range of feelings that this show has me feeling. It's intense. It's heartbreaking. It's beautiful. It's mind-breaking amounts of stress at times. As I mentioned earlier, I've not felt the need to come down from an experience on screen more than I have with episode 6. But what a phenomenal series that I think about halfway through, I kind of was like, I think I'd be fine if this was a part 2 of 2. But then by the ending, and Kevin, I mean, you'll get this, like, it felt like a sports movie kind of feeling of like I've never felt so happy for a group of people on TV that I've never met. But no, I really hope we do get at least one more season of this show. This is the best season of TV this year. And I say that with, I think a show that also makes me feel a lot of feelings and is a sports show, Ted Lasso. I think this is a better season of TV than even that one, which is crazy because I love that show. The Bear season 2 lets it rip. And no doubt in my mind, it's a 5 out of 5 Michelin stars.
Yeah, I think if season 1 was about the cooking, season 2 is very much about the people who cook. And in season 1,
let them cook.
Let them
as
cook.
The kids say.
And in season 1, episode 7, the one-shot dinner service, the intensity, the anxiety that you get from that gave me such PTSD from working a busy Friday night in a kitchen. And it was so authentic and well done. And so it was really neat that in season 2, my 2 favorite scenes are the complete opposite of that. And they involve one of our chefs just doing very routine prep with another chef, in both cases who happen to be excellent actors in great cameos. And it took me back to 6:30 in the morning, getting into the kitchen. It's me and one other chef, and we have a couple hours of prep work to do, just standing there in silence, talking about life with each other. And those scenes were just so well done, and you got to learn so much about who these characters are from both perspectives, and why what they're doing at that moment means so much to them, and how it reflects on their life on a larger scale. And so I just think the way this show really brought out these stories of these characters that we fell in love with in season 1, but didn't get to know all that well. In this season, we really get to know them, and that is the absolute strength and beauty of this show. The music is banging. The cinematography is beautiful. The editing, oh my God, the editing is unbelievable. The writing is pitch perfect, and then combines actors' improv and their ability to make words on a page feel real and authentic. And again, that's the strength of the acting that we get in this show. Everything about this show slaps. It's my absolute favorite show on TV right now. I think it's the best show on TV. This was an easy 5 out of 5 Michelin stars for me. Well, there you have it. The reviews are in. The Bear is a hit, a smash. Everybody make your reservations now and book a table to sit down and enjoy this beautiful, wonderful, incredible, chaotic, intense, lovely show. Now, of course, when you do get a chance to check out the show, we can't wait to see if you fell in love with it just as much as we did. Please write in with your thoughts and all of the feelings that you felt over at wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. That's wearegeekcentric@gmail.com. But, of course, if you prefer your menu a little bit more chaotic, hit us up on the socials. You can do that on Twitter at GeekcentricYT. Keep in mind, we also have a ton of other episodes covering the latest and greatest shows and movies out now, including our recent spoiler-free reviews for They Cloned Tyrone, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Netflix's Nimona, and Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Plus, we have a ton of great interviews out now, like our most recent interview with the cast and showrunner of Foundation, and our interviews with the cast, directors, and creator of Nimona, which is another great movie you need to check out. So you can check out those interviews here on your podcast service of choice over on YouTube at youtube.com/geekcentric. Now, we might not be able to do those interviews for just a little while as we stand in support and solidarity with the creative minds in Hollywood, but there are tons and tons of those interviews to check out and keep you busy in the meantime. Speaking of keeping busy, we also have our weekly watch club for Secret Invasion, where we break down each episode and provide our thoughts and theories. So be sure to tune in weekly on Fridays. We've got 2 more episodes left, and we can't wait to see where that series goes. Also, you can join us in our Discord by clicking the link in our show notes so we can keep the conversation going and talk directly with you once you've seen this or any of the shows or movies we cover. And of course, Hot Geek Summer is far from over, and we will have a ton more reviews and more coming out for the biggest in TV and movies all season long, including Haunted Mansion, woo! And Oppenheimer very, very soon. But until then, Nate, Meg, and Justin, thanks for hanging out and doing what we love. And as we say,
Yes, chef. Love ya.
Bye.
get home safe, chefs.
Peace.